but then putting another light on. Give me a minute.
Okay.
How's that?
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Is there anything odd right behind me? My little
It's
picture is
just
so small, I can't tell.
a lot of books.
That's only to be expected, really, isn't it?
Right, you are a writer.
You must be Arden, unless that's a name that we're all sharing. Like
Arden.
Turkish interviewee.
Yeah, Arden is the one who's kind of set it up, but I'm Clay. I'm the editor.
Okay.
So.
Okay, great. You're the password.
Yes, nice to meet you.
You too.
And congrats on this. It's a lot of fun, this book.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me, was the funnest part writing the character names? Because it certainly seems that way.
You know, I feel slightly queasy with that sense memory because I was going to name them all Colors, and then I found there's another children's series from Britain, an older family series, where the children are called Colors. So I suddenly thought it has to be trees. So I got two friends to brainstorm the trees with me, but we were on a very waving bus in the south of France, going around corners and cliffs. So I have this feeling of woo while I ran through all the names in my head. It was all fun, Clay, to be honest. It was all fun.
Yeah, it seems like it. So is there, I mean, one of the sort of distinctions of this novel is that there are a number of characters and they each get color, you know, they each have personality. Do you have a favorite one though?
I have to say that troublemakers are much more useful than virtuous people. So Aspen, I would say, is very narratively fruitful in that whenever she comes into a scene, she causes chaos, or she misunderstands something, or she, you know, brings her own agenda. There's always a little bit of crazy added. So she's extremely useful to me. Yeah. The kind of child who's difficult to parent is great to write about, basically.
Right. They make the plot go forward, right?
Exactly.
So tell me about your sort of love of wordplay in this novel.
Well, I think wordplay happens naturally in any family setting because kids are non-native speakers, meaning like they're only learning English or whatever language you speak for the first time, and they learn it in a wildly kind of guessing way. They don't like just learn easy words and then gradually make it through to multi-syllables. You know, from the beginning, they are guessing and mishearing and coming up with their own versions of things. So I think any family conversation includes quite a lot of verbal jokes, slang, misunderstandings, malapropisms. And I suppose I take a particular interest in that because I work with words, and my kids are very wordy too. We all talk a lot. But I also think, you know, wordplay is a great source of humor. And what you want in a novel, especially if any subjects are being introduced that make people nervous, like say dementia, you really need humor to, you know, add a bit of oxygen to the mix. So being able to riff on dementia and the dementors and Mensa and dimension, you know, I find that actually very substantially helpful in getting readers relaxed with the subject. It's not just extra. You couldn't take the humor away. Right.
And so is this planned to be a series?
Definitely, yeah, because first of all, it's such a big project, so many people, you know, you couldn't possibly give them each their say in a single book, and the book would have been under terrible pressure if I tried to make, you know, this book cover the entire family. So I always saw it as a series of sort of snapshots of this family and allowing different ones to step into the spotlight and to show different sides of themselves in different books. For instance, I would say Wood is quite backgroundy in this book, but in book 3, I plan for him to step forward. Sick, who's the oldest child and such a know-all that he tends to dominate the conversation, he's going to be gone out of the picture, away on a Habitat for Humanity project in book 2. So, you know, I'm going to have them take turns, basically. Oh, but also, the reason I wanted it to be a series is that kids in this reading age group, I think they absolutely love series. They love the comfort of jumping back into an exotic world, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so but you, I mean, it's your job, and when you choose to write a series, you know that you're dedicating yourself to spending a lot of time with these characters.
I've never done this before, Clay, so yes, it does make me nervous.
So when did you get the very certain feeling that you knew you wanted to spend more time with these characters?
Well, it's more that I planned the entire thing over one evening, and I knew it was a series. You know, it was a bit of it's like J.K. Rowling's famous train ride. You know, I planned several books in my head because I think if you're doing a series and you really want them to fit together perfectly, like puzzle pieces, you actually do need to plan what happens in each, because you need to plant those little hints that will pay off in later books. So it's not like I've written a book and now I'm going to try and spin it out. It's more like I always planned this as a multi-book series. And that's why, in a sense, it's taken me so long. I mean, I got the first idea 6 years ago, but I've been kind of creating the foundations ever since, as well as drafting the first book.
Right, right. And so, you know, obviously you're writing this one at a moment when people seem, you know, really sort of more than eager to attack a children's writer for not representing diverse characters in just the right way. And you tackle a lot of different constituencies when it comes to diversity, you know, race, gender identity, sexuality. Did you ever worry about getting it right?
Of course I worried. You'd be doing a bad job of it if you didn't worry. But I never thought that my worries were a reason to not do it, because my biggest worry would be if I wrote this big book and then people said to me, how come everybody's white? You know, I think often we seem to save our attacks for those people who have tried and perhaps not fully succeeded, when we should really be out there attacking all the people who are failing to make their books diverse at all. So yeah, I think you should definitely worry, and you should work very, very hard to get it right and to make all these characters as full as can be, not just their labels. So I did a huge amount of reading and thinking and listening and talking to people about each of these areas, but then always tried to keep that sort of lightness of touch as well, because I don't know, I felt it was crucial to let these characters really breathe, so that none of them was just their label. I'm repeating myself there, you know. And yeah, I think it's also really crucial when people speak right out of their own constituencies. I mean, things like the own voices hashtag, that kind of thing is great. You know, it's not that I think anyone can write about anything with equal facility. I think in a way you really have to work to get it right, or the nearest you can to right, if you're not from a constituency. But equally, I couldn't bear to stay limited to, you know, white Irish women in their 40s. And especially when you're writing a big book about lots of people, you're never going to be from all those communities. So you might as well just dive in, work extremely hard at it, and pray that you amuse people more than you offend them.
Right, right. No, I think it turns out really well. So congrats on that. So last question, obviously you write adult books. Is it easy to sort of shuttle between adult and children's books, or how have you managed that transition?
I'd say it's a new skill set for me, but it's not quite as scary as entering the world of film was. Now that's really scary, because every word you write has such financial consequences. You know, you say, you know, we see them from above, and then you think, what's the price of a helicopter per day? So children's fiction was certainly a technical challenge, and you know, I take very seriously the need to not bore the child readers. So this was by no means an easy project, but technically speaking, it didn't feel incredibly difficult either, because after all, I have my kids around. I could bounce ideas off them all the time, you know?
Right. And you don't even have to pay them.
Well, I did have to bribe them with $50 certificates to a bookstore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to do the critiquing of the first manuscript. Yeah, so there are certain, but I agree that you know, I get a lot of free labor.
Nice. Well, congrats on this. Thanks for making time for us. And I hope it does really well.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay,
Bye.
have a good day. Okay, bye-bye.